Let's go back in time to 2006. The world was just exploding with new ways to connect online. So you'd think that if you were an online student, you'd feel more connected than ever, right? Well, you'd be wrong. For most, it was a pretty lonely experience. This is the story of how that all started to change. I mean, to really get a feel for the time, just look at what was happening. The very first tweet was sent out into the world. Spotify got its start in Sweden. Even something like the Pirate Bay raid showed just how powerful online sharing had become. The world was shrinking, and it was getting more social by the second. But here's the weird part. There was a total disconnect. While our social lives were all moving online education, well, it often felt like you were on a deserted island. It was just you, your computer, and a bunch of files. And that was the big question, wasn't it? With all this amazing new tech popping up, were online students actually feeling more connected? For most of them, the answer was a big fat no. You know, some research from that exact year by a guy named Morton Fleet Paulson totally hit the nail on the head. It turns out what students really wanted wasn't just more content to download, it was human interaction. They needed good feedback, and they needed it fast. They just needed to know that another human being was on the other side of the screen. So, what do you do about it? Well, one Norwegian institution called NKI decided to tackle this isolation problem head-on. They started running these incredible experiments, really leaning into that new social vibe of the era, all based on a pretty unique idea. They called their philosophy cooperative freedom, and the idea was brilliant, just brilliant in its simplicity. Basically, create all these opportunities for students and teachers to connect, but, and this is the key part, never force them. It was an invitation to collaborate, not a mandate. It gave people control, but it also gently nudged them toward learning with each other. This whole philosophy led to two major initiatives. On one side, they had something called peer counseling, which was all about helping teachers get better at communicating with their students. But on the other side, and this was a real game changer, they created a service called Learning Partners, a system specifically designed to help students find and connect with each other. So you build it, but will they come? They set up this whole platform for students to connect with each other. The big question was, would anyone actually use it? Well, the results were, frankly, stunning. By October of that year, we're talking just a few months in, 3,000 students had already signed up and created a profile to find a learning partner. This wasn't some slow trickle. It was an absolute floodgate opening up. It proved there was this huge, untapped hunger for connection. And here's the number that says it all. When they were given the choice, a clear majority, 55%, actively said, yes, I want a learning partner. Think about that. This wasn't just a feature they stumbled upon. It was something they actively wanted. It was a massive sign that social learning was where things were headed. The impact was so obvious that the system actually won the prestigious Bolduc Award that year. The jury even called it a new, innovative dimension of student support. So this wasn't just some internal success story. The rest of the world was recognizing it as a huge leap forward for education. But wait, the story doesn't end there. So, okay, students wanted to connect. That's step one. But the next big challenge was, how do you get them to actually participate in discussions? Well, NKI had another really clever trick up their sleeve for that. Let's talk about a concept called gating. It's super simple, really. It just means you have to finish one task before you can unlock the next thing. Think about it like a video game. You can't get to level 2 until you've beaten the boss on level 1. And here is how they applied it, which was genius. A student gets an assignment. Post a reflection in an online forum. Step 2, they write and submit their own thoughts. And only after they've contributed do they get the reward, they unlock the ability to see what all their classmates wrote. It's such a powerful motivator, based on that simple idea. You have to give to get. It turns people who just watch from the sidelines into active participants. So, what's the big lesson we can take away from all these experiments back in 2006? Well, they proved, beyond a doubt, that human connection wasn't just a nice-to-have feature. Nope, it was absolutely essential for online learning to actually work. And this realization came at the exact moment that businesses were waking up to all the other benefits of e-learning. I mean, at the same time, companies were realizing all the practical upsides, right? More flexibility for employees, way lower costs for things like travel, and you could get training materials out so much faster. The shift to e-learning wasn't just some cool new idea. It was quickly becoming a smart business move. And that brings us right back to today. The story of 2006 is really about finding new ways to use technology to bring people together. Now, fast forward to today, and a lot of the conversation is about AI tutors and automated feedback, and it leaves us with a really important question. In an age of AI and automation, what is the real value of human-to-human learning? And are we in danger of forgetting the biggest lesson from online education's social revolution?